All right. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Austin Petersen here, former presidential candidate for the Libertarian Party. Welcome to the Freedom Report live stream. We are streaming live on YouTube right now. If you're watching us later, this is probably a replay if you're watching us on Facebook. If you want to catch my live streams, they're starting at a new time, 7 p.m. Central, 8 p.m. Eastern Time. You can catch us at youtube.com/AuggieP. If you want to catch us live, that's youtube.com/AUGGYP. Thanks a lot for tuning into our show tonight. First of all, big breaking news. This morning I did an audio version of the Freedom Report, which I generally do about once a week, and we were just discussing the dust-up that was going on with Tomi Lahren, the Blaze, so a very controversial Blaze host, but it looks as if there is some breaking news with that, and that is that Tomi Lahren has been suspended by her parent company, The Blaze, reported by the Daily Caller, which says that she has been suspended for at least 1 week starting on Monday, today. According to multiple sources, she may actually leave the conservative media outlet prior to her contract's end date, which is going to be in September of this year. According to the Daily Caller, Lahren's inflammatory style placed her at odds with the other employees at The Blaze, and the tensions between them were high even prior to the starlet's recent comment on The View that she is, quote, pro-choice. Founder of The Blaze, Glenn Beck, took to his radio program this morning to respond to the media hoopla, saying, "I would disagree that you're a hypocrite if you want limited government, and yet you want the government to protect the life of the unborn. It's very, very clear. But it takes intellectual honesty, and it takes a willingness to actually think these things through, and to do more than just read Twitter or Facebook to get your news and political opinions." This is a direct jab at Tomi, who stated explicitly that she doesn't read books, that she gets her opinions from magazines and from articles on the internet, where Glenn Beck continues and says, "You have to actually study these things out in your mind, especially in a time period like today. Bomb throwing is bomb throwing, and he says bomb throwing in today's world is dangerous. Freedom of speech, it's not free. Speech isn't free. It comes with a very high price tag. First, being intellectually honest and intellectually curious. Speech is not free. It comes with another cost, and usually to the other people at the other end of your argument. The pen is mightier than the sword, and it can destroy people if your aim is clicks, views, and ratings." To continue. Now, Glenn Beck has been going out there talking about this, which is funny because, you know, he made his fortune doing something similar when he was on Fox News. But recently, in recent weeks, he has recanted, apologizing for much of his behavior. And he's been getting raked over the coals for Tomi Lahren's performances on his network. So it's no surprise that this would happen. It seems as if Glenn Beck has had a really big change of heart. And I look forward to seeing what the new news is that's going to be on this. So we're going to be talking about this story, I'm sure, a lot over the next few weeks, but not tonight. Tonight we're going to talk about the craziest bastards in the room, the craziest sons of bitches, actually. And this is a direct quote from one of our duly elected representatives, so I don't want to hear it from you guys. This is if you think that this is bad language, because this is a person who represents a district of Kentucky. Representative Thomas Massie's theory that voters who voted for libertarians and then Trump were always just seeking the, quote, craziest son of a bitch in the race. In an interview with the Washington Examiner 2 months into President Trump's administration, Representative Thomas Massie reflected on the president's ascent to the America's highest office, offering fresh insights from his vantage point as a libertarian-leaning representative smack in the heart of Trump country. To explain 2016, Massie looks to previous cycles. Rand Paul's upset victory in 2010, Ron Paul's enthusiastic following in the 2012 race, and his own win in the 2012 congressional primary all looked at first glance like a libertarian wave. Didn't we think that? I certainly thought that. Quote, "I went to Iowa twice and came back with Ron Paul. I was with him at every event for the last 3 days in Iowa," Massie said. Quote, "From what I observed, not just in Iowa, but also in Kentucky, up close with individuals, was that the people that voted for me in Kentucky," he's talking about his own voters here, "and the people who had voted for Rand Paul in Iowa several years were now voting for Trump. In fact, the people that voted for Rand in a primary in Kentucky were preferring Trump. All this time," Massie explained, "I thought they were voting for Libertarian Republicans. But after some soul-searching, I realized when they voted for Rand and Ron and me in these primaries, they weren't voting for libertarian ideas. They were voting for the craziest son of a bitch in the race. And Donald Trump won best in class, and as we had up until he came along." Woo. Massie's observation that libertarian-minded voters, those who devoted passionate support to Senator Paul, and his father in previous cycles, are likely more attracted to, quote, crazy personalities than candidate with ideological purity, bears important implications for the future of that movement, our movement, my movement, ours. Do those voters more than anything crave change agents over philosophical disciples? This is an important question. Massie sees Trump as more of a populist than a libertarian conservative, but noted important similarities between both camps. Quote, "There are some places where populism overlaps with libertarianism and contradicts the establishment here in D.C., Massie said. Quote, for instance, less proclivity to go to war, less appetite for having 20 or 30,000 troops in any one country to subsidize their defense. I see overlap there," he concluded. Massie chalks Trump's success in the general election up to his pledge to shake up Washington, saying, quote, "He had the change mantle and Hillary didn't. Correct, absolutely. Massie recalled an encounter he had with one of Trump's most powerful primary opponents during the election, reflecting, quote, "I remember I ran into Jeb Bush in a hotel lobby in Iowa. He was just there, no staff, and we started talking. Bush," Massie said, "was adamant that Trump wasn't a real Republican. Ironic," the congressman noted, "because that was in my circle of hardcore supporters. That's the charge leveled at the Bushes." It's worth noting that Americans generally tend to be less devoted to ideological teams than we realize. As the author outlined Tuesday in an analysis of Bernie Sanders' appeal to Trump voters, populism transcends party lines for a reason. Wow. I mean, what do you think, guys? Do you think that people just wanted to vote for the craziest bastard in the room? Now, I think we have to separate the Libertarian Party from all this, just because obviously if you look at the Libertarian Party primaries, the Libertarian Party candidate was not the craziest bastard in the room. He was the goofiest bastard in the room perhaps, but not the craziest. We had many people vying for that title. My good friend John McAfee, if you were really looking for the crazies, or Darryl Perry. But the Libertarians actually played it safe in this election, which turned out to be the wrong strategy because people wanted a change agent. You know, we as libertarians, we nominated the safest choices that we thought we could have because we thought, okay, people want experience in this election. No, they wanted, a change agent, right? They wanted an establishment. The libertarians made an establishment play, and that wasn't the right move. They wanted an anti-establishment candidate. And before we go any further, I want to pull up for you all, just so that we're all on the same page, the definition of populism so that we can understand exactly what it means. So this is just the Merriam-Webster definition, fake news, alternative facts. So this is the dictionary definition. Definition is a populist is a member of a political party claiming to represent the common people, especially often capitalized. A member of a U.S. political party that was formed in 1891 that was to represent agrarian interests and to advocate the free coinage of silver and government control of monopolies. Now, the second definition is a believer in the rights, wisdom, or virtues of the common people. Now, this morning, Dana Lash and Glenn Beck were talking about populism, and Dana Lash said, Glenn asked Dana, do you like populism? What do you think of populism? And Dana was sort of hesitant, right? She pulled back and was kind of like, hey, I like populism in small doses, right? I like populism in very small doses. But when it came to the libertarians, we said to ourselves, what do we think that the libertarian voters want? What do we think that the Libertarian Party should do in terms of advancing an agenda in this election? Now, we said to ourselves, hey, let's play it safe. And we ended up getting 3% of the national vote, higher than any Libertarian Party presidential candidate has ever gotten, right? The highest we've ever gotten, but not good enough for us to actually get the type of vote total we really want to see. So in honor of crazy libertarians, I found a really funny article on BuzzFeed that I'm going to share with you guys over here. Let me pull up the other display so you can see. This is 23 libertarian problems. And number 23, when someone tells you your crazy views will never win an election, I really don't give a hoot. Number 22, is this like your Bible? Number 21, when you get a fundraising text from the RNC. Oh, yeah. Number 20, you agree with Democrats on social issues and Republicans on fiscal. Those were the days, Republicans and Democrats be like, spend that money. Then they call you a libtard. It's happening. Number 19, when other conservatives tell you that you will, quote, grow out of your libertarian phase. Why do you insist on pissing me off? Number 18, when someone asks you to sign up to support Rick Santorum. Don't ask me. Oh. Number 17, when one of your friends on Facebook posts a Heritage Foundation piece on national security. No. Number 16, when Glenn Beck calls himself a libertarian. Cry tears. Number 15, when Republicans call Rand Paul a, quote, extremist. Oh, you just want to force them to read Rothbard. Number 14, when Republicans want to use government to spread democracy, ban gay marriage, ban drugs, but still claim they're for small government. I don't think so, man. Number 13, when you have this conversation, you smoke what? Weed. Dude, weed, lamau. And this is how they see you in the rest of this conversation. I like weed. Number 12, when Republicans tell you that you have to choose between the lesser of two evils. Nope, 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 nope. Number 11, being called a hippie because you don't like going to war with other countries. Matt Damon. I have no idea why Benny Johnson decided to put that in there. But then being called unpatriotic because you don't think the government should be allowed to spy on citizens. And how about no? Number 10, when Republicans tell you that deficits are bad, but absolutely lose their beep when you talk about defense spending cuts. That doesn't make any sense. Number 9, when Republicans tell you that they need your support, but then tell you to shut up when you try to get involved in party meetings. Group hug. Please stop talking. Number 8, when libertarian-leaning members of Congress try to influence legislation. Get out. Number 7, when people say, but what about the roads? As though there has never been a private company that could build roads. Number 6, oh, you just believe that every word that Ron Paul and Ayn Rand says. And 9/11 was an inside job, right? Somebody call Alex Jones. When Chris Christie starts criticizing libertarians. Right? You'd be like, oh no. And you're all like, fat guy in a little coat. Fat guy in a little coat. Number 4, I am not a Republican. Ron Paul. Number 3, no, I'm not an anarchist. Okay, maybe I am. Being bad's a lot of fun, ain't it? Number 2, when you feel like a conservative around libertarians and libertarian around conservatives. I don't know where I belong. And number 1, when you are called an objectivist movement cultist, because screw that. Ayn Rand was the best. Ayn Rand was the best. I'm a big fan of Ayn Rand myself, and I don't care. Let the haters hate. That's nonsense. Anyways, so moving on. Looks like the stream is doing better than it has been. That's good. Yes, we did get a new computer thanks to a lovely anonymous donor. Thank you very much. Thank you very much to our lovely anonymous donor, and I'm very grateful for you all for watching tonight. Thank you so very, 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 very much. So I want to conclude this podcast by going on a little bit more of a serious discussion, talking about the question of what was the point of winning the election. And this is a terrific piece that I want to share with you all by Derek Hunter from townhall.com about the question of what was the point if Republicans are controlling the government now, and this horrible healthcare bill that they've proposed for the replacement bill to repeal and replace Obamacare with, if this is the best that they can do, what was the point of winning the election? There is an interesting phenomenon that happens among red state Democrats in the Senate every 6 years. They suddenly start sounding conservative when their re-election bid approaches. Okay, I know you guys want to do a call-in show, but I do see your comments in the live stream. So if you want to ask a question, drop it in the live stream now, and please do not riot. Okay, we don't need any white riots here, guys. Grab a glass of Chardonnay, white male libertarians, and grab your fedora and relax. It's story time. Democrats talk more conservatively when it's time for re-elections. They act more conservatively. They vote more conservatively, at least until they get re-elected, and then can go back to holding the Democratic Party line in the Senate. The same phenomenon happens in the Republican Party. Only last year, the American people called their bluff, put them in power, and now expect them to do what they promised. Republicans are terrified at the prospect. Politicians are quite good at making promises and coming up with excuses as to why those promises went unfulfilled. Quote, we only control 1/3 of the government, blah, 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 blah. We heard in 2011 as an excuse for why the promise of Obamacare repeal was impossible. In 2015, Republicans were given the Senate, therefore control of one branch of government. The refrain changed to, no matter what we pass, the president will veto it, and we don't have the votes to override the veto. Okay, that's fine, all true. But the problem was they didn't even try. Congress has power as a co-equal branch of government, yet no effort was exerted toward the promise on which they campaigned. So now, voters have given a second branch of government to the Republicans, and what do we have? House Republicans have introduced the American Health Care Act, the legislative equivalent of Hangover 2. Hangover 2 was a slightly different version of Hangover, but aside from the setting, you wouldn't know the difference. The biggest problem with the AHCA is that it leaves in place the concept that it is the responsibility of the federal government to provide health insurance for Americans who don't have employer-provided coverage. Amen. Aside from changing tax law to allow people in the individual market to buy insurance with pre-tax dollars and allowing for the purchase of insurance across state lines, the federal government has no business in the healthcare game. A true conservative plan would allow the states to become 50 petri dishes, able to experiment with ways to make insurance affordable. Eventually, best practices would win out and be adopted by other states. Absolutely. Excuse me. Sorry, guys, still getting over my bronchitis here. But that wouldn't empower the feds. So we're talking about subsidies, tax credits, and a federal regulatory agency only slightly less arduous than what currently exists. There's plenty of blame for this to go around, but the lion's share has to rest firmly on the Speaker of the House, Paul Ryan. He got the opportunity he and his colleagues have been asking for, and he gave us a bill that is only slightly better than the system it seeks to replace. No one hires someone who says, make me captain the Titanic and I'll make sure it sinks 20 minutes later. Yet that's what the Republican plan does. 7 years they had to come up with an idea and we get a tweak. For 7 years we were told they knew the way and we get this. It's not as though Republicans are burning up the rest of the agenda. They've done next to nothing since January 20th. After years of, quote, hurry up, all we've got now is wait. Now, we get Republicans are afraid of healthcare policy. As a healthcare policy analyst at Heritage Foundation, the Derek Hunter, the author, he briefed many of them on the issue and saw the terror in their eyes as they waited for just enough information to be able to answer basic questions on an issue they ceded to Democrats for years. But for the last 7 years, they've sworn they have the answers. So where are the answers? The AHCA is not it. You don't have to understand the complexities of health insurance markets and impact of regulations on them to understand the Constitution and the limits it places on the federal government. That shouldn't be a bridge too far, considering they swear an oath to it at the start of every term. One would hope they'd have read it, if not understood it, before they pledged to defend it. And you don't have to be a legislative historian to recognize the idea Republicans have proposed of a three-pronged approach is insane, even when they acknowledge the second prong is regulatory and easily could be reversed by a Democratic administration, and the third will be blocked even more easily by a filibuster in the Senate. Republicans swear that they need a trident to kill Obamacare when a spear would do. Like a Band-Aid, just rip it out of existence. Senate parliamentarian be damned. Nearly every member of the Republican caucus campaigned on repealing Obamacare and told voters that they were, quote, constitutional conservatives. Nothing they've done since would lead anyone to believe that either claim is true. If there's a positive about the process surrounding the AHCA, it's that so far it is moving slowly. Unlike Obamacare's passage, Republicans have been mildly transparent. Unfortunately, what they've cooked up so far is transparently awful. It's time to scrap the patch and unleash the free market. Hell yes, Derek Hunter. Unless the AHCA is fundamentally transformed to the point states are free to experiment, the market is free to function, and individuals are free to make their own choices, everything we will have been told is a lie. The whole thing should be scrapped and Obamacare allowed to collapse. Both parties will be blamed, and both parties will be to blame. A golden opportunity in the cause of liberty will have been squandered because after 7 years of talk, Republicans could not do the one thing they told us that they would. The reason they were in the position to disappoint us in the first place. It's time to start over and do it right. If Speaker Ryan and the rest of the Republican leadership actually have it in them to do what they've campaigned on. Amen, Derek Hunter. Thank you very much for writing this terrific piece, ladies and gentlemen. So do me a favor, guys. I'm going to give you a couple of plugs, but I will answer some questions for you. So if you're in the live stream right now, I am watching right now. Do me a favor, drop your questions in there, and I'm going to give you some plugs while I wait for you guys to do some questions. But the plug is that this weekend I'm going to be in Colorado. If you live near Denver or if you're within driving distance of Denver, I'll be at the Libertarian Party's convention in Colorado. You can find more about it on my events page. If you're watching this on Facebook, it's easy. Just go over to, let's see, looking down, I think it's going to be over here. If you're on Facebook, you can go over there and click to watch. Click on my events page to see where I'm going to be at. And I'm going everywhere, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to be on the Rubin Report. I'm in LA. I'm going to be going to Swarthmore College in PA the day before the Mid-Atlantic Liberty Festival in PA. So I'll be at Swarthmore College. I'll be at the Mid-Atlantic Liberty Festival. I'll be in Los Angeles meeting with Dave Rubin and doing his show. Then I'm going to, it's looking like I might be going to the University of Iowa. That's in the cards potentially. And I got 2 more big invitations today on top of 2 more enormous bookings, really exciting big bookings. Libertarians don't get gigs like the ones that I'm getting for this summer. So it's going to be a really exciting, crazy summer. Of course, on top of the fact that we have a big announcement coming at the Freedom Ninjas reunion. It's the Freedom Ninjas Ball. It's happening at Stonegate Farm in Kansas City the first weekend of June. That's going to be in June 2nd. We're going to have a big barbecue. Freedom Ninja reunion should be a lot of fun. So do me a favor, guys. Don't forget to check that out. So people say, Austin, where can people donate to your efforts and endeavors? You can go and sign a petition at Loki Pack. Matt, do me a favor, drop the Loki Pack petition and the donate link into the live stream for me because I don't have it with me right off the top. But you can donate to Loki Pack or the Stonegate Institute, stonegateinstitute.org. That's STONEGAIT, stonegateinstitute.org, where you guys can make a donation to help us do some freedom fighting on the ground. We've already been around the country fighting for people's rights on the ground at the local level. That's what the Stonegate Institute does. And Loki Pack, of course, is our way to get into a little bit of electoral mischief. Yeah, that was a Bone Thugs reference, just FYI. So any other questions in there? Natty Light or PBR? Good question. I'll say no. Go to my Kansas City Boulevard wheat. Right. Tyler Merzinski asks, hey, Austin, what's your thoughts on Kennedy? I'm a right-wing libertarian and look up to Kennedy. I have a picture of him hanging in front of me right now. In fact, he was a lifetime NRA member. You know, I actually like John Kennedy because I think he's not a social democrat. He hated communists. So he was really one of the last good Democrats, I would say. Now, there are a lot of things that I didn't agree with him on. Sorry, I had to pull a Rubio there. But I think that John F. Kennedy was actually one of the better presidents. But he did make some mistakes. I think the Bay of Pigs was botched, and there were a lot of problems that we had. So I would say that John F. Kennedy is good. He wasn't a libertarian, but at least he hated commies. That's not how you define a libertarian. Just because you want to throw commies out of helicopters like JFK wanted to, then that doesn't make you a libertarian. But I do think that he was one of the better Democrats. How do I feel about McCain calling Rand a Russian spy? Oh, well, coming from the guy who gave us ISIS, that's rich, John McCain. I'm sorry. But, nowadays, he sounds like a Democrat, right? It's like blaming everything on the Russians. It's like, it's the Russians. Somebody needs to put John McCain into an old folks' home. I think it's time for retirement. Like Rand Paul said, this is why we need term limits. Don't you guys agree? Some of you guys don't, but, I wasn't the biggest fan of John McCain. I didn't vote for him in 2008. Whoop, whoop, womp, 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 womp. Anyways, so really appreciate you guys logging into my live stream tonight. Looks like we're having a little bit of frame rate drop, but that's what happens when you broadcast in high definition. But if you're watching us later, I hope that you can enjoy it in full HD. Thank you so very much for tuning in. If you're watching us on Facebook, do me a favor, share it out. All right, we're going to be on Monday, Wednesdays, and Thursdays at a new time, 7 p.m. Eastern time on YouTube, youtube.com/AuggieP. I tried to monetize my videos on Facebook, but it won't let you do it when you do it through OBS like I'm doing right now. So until I get a crazy amount of views on my Facebooks through my mobile phone, we'll be able to do it. So we're going to stick with YouTube, 7 p.m., Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, 7 p.m., that's Central Time. If you're on the East Coast, that's 8, okay? So 7 p.m. So check me out again, peep me on my live stream, Wednesday night, this upcoming Wednesday night, and I leave for Colorado on Friday. Hope to see you there, guys. Have a great night.